Today we are here to introduce the Twilight Mobility Wheelchair, which is our innovation geared towards solving some of the mobility needs for persons with disabilities locally. And our company is designed to work based strictly on data. Our solutions, in other words, are data-driven.
What inspired me in developing this wheelchair was the difficulties in accessing wheelchairs from other markets because of the high cost. After doing my researches, I realized it was possible to manufacture a wheelchair locally, a wheelchair which is adaptable to the environment, adaptable to the user's need, and adaptable to the purpose, and a wheelchair which is aesthetically pleasing. All these at an affordable price.
We needed to have a solution different from the wheelchairs that are locally available that do not take into consideration specific customer needs. A lot of the wheelchairs we have locally, frankly, are a one-fits-all type of solution. This should not be the case.
In our design, we've looked at how you can customize the wheelchair to fit the needs of the end users. That is, we've looked at how you can customize the backrest and the seating and the seats. The second thing we're looking at is how you can customize the wheelchair to fit the context. That is, for someone using the wheelchair in upcountry areas, he can easily use our wheelchair by changing the kind of wheels he uses. Someone in urban areas can also use the wheelchair by changing the wheels. So the wheelchair is fit for different contexts. You can use it anywhere, depending on your locality. The third item we were looking at is customizing the wheelchair to fit the purpose. We wanted a wheelchair that even when one wants to use it for, say, sporting activity, you just change the wheels to fit that sporting activity. Most of the people using wheelchairs, they use public transport. So we're looking at how they can get the wheelchair to be compact. That is, they can easily disassemble the wheelchair when boarding a public transport vehicle, remove the wheels, and then once they alight from the public transport, they reassemble back the wheelchair.
We hope to, in time, be able to produce a product that is efficient and that is friendly to the user in the true sense of that word. What do we mean? For example, the wheelchair's contact areas are fully customizable for the user's needs. So the seat, the back, the armrests, the footrest, all of these are customized to a specific user's needs. The wheelchair is customizable for the environment. Is it rough terrain? Is it a smooth terrain? And what are the implications that we have on the wheelchair design for the wheels that need to work on specific terrains? So we also want to be able to customize our wheelchair for sports, so that you adapt the wheelchair ever so slightly to make it usable for sports and to revert to non-sports usage when the need arises. Another thing that people need to pay attention to when producing wheelchairs, and this is what we have done, is to make the wheelchair quickly and easily assembled. It should be possible to take it apart and to put it back together in less than 30 seconds. That is possible, and our wheelchair does exactly that. And this has implications for storage. You can store this wheelchair away, put it away in a suitcase if you are traveling long distance, and then you can assemble it when you get to the other side or to your destination. The wheelchair is also made of very, very light material. Wheelchairs made for Africa do not necessarily mean wheelchairs made using heavy steel tubes. We have looked at that component and found that that is why wheelchairs that are brought to Africa, that are currently in use in Africa, locally assembled, are very heavy because the material used is considerably much heavier than necessary. This should not be so. We are looking at a wheelchair product that is going to be between 15 and 18 kilograms maximum. And so that makes it possible for us to store it away and to use minimal space when doing so. At the same time, we want to be able to take our wheelchairs to the user's doorstep. How do we do this? We are going to work from a point where we create a profile, the user profile. They tell us what their needs are, so we know where they stay. We have an application that is going to enable them to place their order. So we do a 3D design of their wheelchair, and then we ship it to them. They don't need to come to Nairobi. They don't need to come to Thika. And this makes it convenient for our users to make use of our wheelchairs and to even acquire them. We also need to make it possible to offer support services post-purchase. This is a component that is often missing from wheelchair services that are offered in Kenya. We needed to follow up with our clients and find out what parts of their wheelchairs get worn out. And because we already have their customer profile, we can tell what parts they make use of more frequently than others, and how we can improve those parts to minimize wear and tear, and continuously improve our products through user feedback. And then once they order the product, we can ship it back to them. Our products, our product parts are going to come with the codes so that people don't go around fixing the wrong parts to our wheelchair. We are going to cross-check and see if the part they have claimed to have purchased from us is indeed ours. Once we establish that it is not ours, then it is possible to give them the correct gadget so that our wheelchairs work as we have envisaged them to work. And then, of course, we will partner with the organizations of persons with disabilities where we can, in distant places, to be part of the supply chain and be part of the process through which we get our wheelchairs to the end users. We envisage that this product is going to be much more cheaply available to users than other products that we have on the market. Locally imported wheelchairs that are locally in use are very expensive. We want to bring that down to perhaps 1/10 of the cost of an imported wheelchair. And our wheelchairs are built to last for a very long time. How are we going to make sure that we have a fruitful interaction between ourselves and our end users and everybody else involved in the value chain? One, like I pointed out a few moments ago, we want to have users create user profiles. This enables us to know what part of Kenya they are operating from. And when we go further afield, we want to see how they will be, where they are operating in Uganda, in Tanzania, because our vision is to go Africa-wide in time. Then users will be prompted to tell us whether they need a new wheelchair or they need to replace parts. Then we can work at the solution from that point. Then we will also have a section in our interaction with the users where they can tell us about their experience with our chairs. What is their feedback? How have they evaluated our wheelchair? So that we use this to continuously improve our product. So we will have different designs. There are people who are more likely to choose a sports wheelchair as opposed to one that does not allow you to do sports. we can allow users the freedom to choose whatever wheelchair they want. So once they have selected, then they can tell us what color, what kind of wheels they want fitted. We'll have a range of these so that we can give them a choice. Remember, one of the greatest problems we have with wheelchairs in this country is that wheelchair users do not have a choice. You are only consigned to one wheelchair type or the other. There are hardly any reliable choices that you can make. And we want to change this, just as people have the option of choosing from different car models. This should also be the case with wheelchairs. Yes, there's going to be the market for electric wheelchairs, and there's always going to be the market for wheelchairs that are pushed. There are going to be wheelchairs that are not, self-drive, for the user. All of these options should exist in different designs so that there is a sort kind of democracy for users of these wheelchairs. And so, yes, of course, the user will be allowed to choose a wheelchair that works for their environment, and then we can make different configurations of wheels to suit them so that we make it a true possibility of choice for wheelchair users. So we will then, in the next step, make a quotation or draw out a quotation for the customized wheelchair. And then this information will be communicated to the user, and then we can agree on payment methods. This can be adjusted, and we are going to be flexible and offer people even the possibility of doing installment payments, because not all wheelchair users can make a one-off payment for a wheelchair that costs 16,000 shillings. We shall work out the modalities of that. Once an order has been placed, then we shall have a tracking number attached to that order, and the user on the other side can track the progress of their wheelchair. They don't have to come to our offices to check or to even call us. That information should be available online. Our application, the application that we are going to use on these wheelchairs is going to enable us to collect data in real time. Through all this interaction, one of the critical questions we want to settle is, how many wheelchair users do we actually have? You realize all the estimates, all the numbers we have bandied around are estimates. We now want to have a data-driven process where we derive the actual solutions from the data that comes to us, either by means of feedback or either, feedback forms, or through the numbers of people who purchase wheelchairs from us. And it should be possible then for us in time, in 2-3 years' time, to talk about actual wheelchair statistics and users in real time based on the information that we get in. And this obviously is going to have an impact on how we cater for our various markets in terms of providing wheelchairs. How do we propose to market our wheelchair, Twilight Mobility? We will make use of social media. We have a presence there: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We have Disability Innovations Suite on all of those platforms. We will make use of Google search engines. And then we will also see which organizations of persons with disabilities we can partner with to get our product out. And then, of course, we know there are many rehabilitation facilities, including hospitals and national non-governmental organizations, and we should be able to use these platforms or whatever forums they avail, and through them we can get reports, we can get additional data, so that it becomes an ecosystem of people working around the question of innovations for disability mobility. We will also then want to retain our customers. Nobody creates a customer and creates a relationship with a customer and then wants to make use of them, lose them. We want to be able to create those partnerships by providing continuous reports to our stakeholders, the hospitals, the OPDs, other companies that we might engage with in the production process of this wheelchair, so that we are continuously engaged with all our partners as we create different designs and improve the models of our wheelchairs. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we stick strictly to the standards supplied by WHO, so that our wheelchairs are safe to use for persons with disabilities. And then there is the component of insurance. We want to offer wheelchair insurance for our wheelchair users at an affordable cost. Just as we have insurance for cars, why is it impossible to have wheelchair insurance? And this should work because even car users can have an option of purchasing a wheelchair from us, so long as it is stated in their insurance component that they can do so. And the reason for doing this is simple, especially for car users. People get into accidents. So, and it is a very tough problem in this country, accessing a wheelchair quickly when you need it. So if you have insurance for your car, the same insurance service should get you a wheelchair. That is a product that we hope to use to make it possible to get our wheelchairs to as many users as possible, and especially people who will actually need those wheelchairs. You can't predict when accidents will happen. We want to make it possible for someone who needs a wheelchair after an accident to have that wheelchair. The team that is behind this project at Disability Innovation Institute is led by myself, Dr. Mbugua Wamungai. Our technical team involves Mr. Kenneth Geshohi, who is in the design, in our design office. We have Mr. Anthony Mondia, who is our technical person in charge of design and of this wheelchair. And then we have Engineer Kimutai, who is assisting us with the mechanics of the wheelchair process, particularly at its design. So these are the people who ensure that this wheelchair is produced to the standards required by the WHO. Where are we at the moment? Our original design enables us to produce the first prototype, which we then presented to end users, and based on their very valuable feedback, we were able to produce prototype 2, which is what we are hoping to be able to get onto the market. It's complete in its design stage. We have produced the actual prototype, and now what we are looking for is to take it to the market. Where do we hope to go with this idea? One of the things that Disability Innovations Suite seeks to change is the idea of production. We need to be able to produce our own wheelchairs locally. We need to be able to have an ecosystem of producers, so that our end goal in all of this is not just to produce the Twilight Mobility wheelchair. It is to have an assistive devices innovations hub where we can design and produce different types of assistive devices. If other people come up with designs and they have no production space, we will be happy to host them in our space, and they can we can produce their assistive devices and then push these to the market through the model that we have suggested. That is our ultimate ambition. All of this is going to cost money. We will be looking for investors who can partner with us to help us take this wheelchair to the market. As you can see from my presentation, this product has several components to it. Each different investors can decide to partner with us at different levels of the production of this wheelchair. So actual investment quotations can be discussed with the potential investors depending on where they want to come into the production of this wheelchair.